Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, here we are. It's Thursday. The election was on Tuesday, and we still do not know who won the presidential election. It's a very close race, but so far, Joe Biden is ahead. He has 253 electoral votes compared to Donald Trump's 213. And there are like five or more states that are still counting their ballots and everything because of the mail-in ballot situation around this coronavirus. We still don't know who actually won. And we know that the Trump administration has filed lawsuits to, to contest the election. He's called for recounts and all those things. And we just have to wait and see. At this point, the voters have done their job, and now we just need to see what the courts do. We need to see what these different states do in terms of the counts and how they shake out. You know, right now, key states like Pennsylvania and Georgia are highly contested. The votes are very narrow. You know, the lead that Donald Trump has in those areas are narrowing. So this election could be decided by one of those states. So I will keep you all posted. I will continue to talk about the election results and everything. But for this particular video, what I want to do is focus on these exit polls and what they say about race and gender and support of Joe Biden and Donald Trump and what it actually means. I have a report from the New York Times. I will post that report in the description box so that you all can read these stats for yourself. And they go into far more detail than I'm going to go into in this particular video. So according to the New York Times, 72% of white men supported Donald Trump, voted for Donald Trump, compared to 26% for Joe Biden. So that's substantial support for Donald Trump among white men. Overwhelming support for Donald Trump among white men. And I think that that speaks volumes, and we will get into that in a second. Also, among white women, Donald Trump got 67% of the vote compared to 31% for Joe Biden. So 67% of white women voters voted for Donald Trump compared to only 31% for Joe Biden. When it comes to black men, 17% of black men voted for Donald Trump, according to the New York Times, compared to 81% for Joe Biden. So an overwhelming majority of black men voted for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. And the same is true for black women. 8% of black women voted for Donald Trump compared to 91% of black women supporting Joe Biden. So then we go to Latino men. 51% of Latino men voted for Donald Trump compared to 48% of Latino men voting for Joe Biden. So that's a very close margin. Slightly more Latino men voted for Donald Trump over Joe Biden. And then when you look at Latino women, 34% of Latino women voted for Donald Trump compared to 64% of Latino women voting for Joe Biden. And then it has other racial groups, and for other racial groups, that divide was 37% for Trump and 57% for Joe Biden. So I just want to talk about what these stats mean, what I think about these particular stats. You know, the first thing that I'll say is this, that high percentage of white men supporting Donald Trump should not be of any surprise to anyone. And that speaks volumes about white men in this country. It tells you that many of them have no problem with Donald Trump and his xenophobia. They have no problem with Donald Trump and his sexism. They have no problem with Donald Trump and his support of white supremacy. They have no problems with that. They have no problems with his hostility towards black people and people of color in this country. And that tells you that many white men, despite all these stories about how we've made so much progress as a nation, the overwhelming majority of white men support white supremacy, support racism, support sexism, support the oppression of people. So I think that that says a lot about white men. And then when you look at white women, here you have a group of women who have put their gender below their race. Like their gender is less significant in their minds than their race. Their race trumps everything. Here you have a man who has disrespected women, period. You know, made all kinds of disrespectful remarks towards women. This is a man who's been accused of sexually assaulting women. You know, he has, verbally abused many women, not only just black women, but white women as well. You know, using all kinds of sexist language towards women, period. But yet and still, you have an overwhelming majority of white women supporting this man, despite his positions on, reproductive rights and, women's rights and all that kind of stuff. These women decided to ride or die with Donald Trump. And that just tells you where a lot of these women are. You know, a lot of these women support this man, even though he is diametrically opposed to a lot of interests of women. And I just think that that says a lot about white women voters. And this says a lot, as you know, this political commentator Angela Rye pointed out. Like, this says a lot. I mean, the Democratic Party spent all this time trying to pander to these groups of people that don't even really support Democrats like that. Spend all this time concentrating on white women and white men, trying to convince them to support Joe Biden. Like Joe Biden, part of his appeal, according to these people that decided to vote for him during the primary, was, the fact that he could appeal to more white men and stuff like that. And despite that being one of the main reasons why they decided to select him for the nomination, despite that, an overwhelming majority of white men and women continue to support Donald Trump. And then when you look at the statistics for black people and our support of Donald Trump, black people, black women in particular, supported Donald Trump more. I mean, not Donald Trump, Joe Biden. Black men and women support of Joe Biden. Black men and women supported Joe Biden more than any other group or category of people in this country. Overwhelming support. For black men, that was 81%. For black women, it was 91%. So since black people have shown more support for the Democratic Party than any other group of people in this country, especially black women, I think that speaks volumes, and that says that, this Democratic Party, Joe Biden in particular, Joe Biden is indebted to the black community. He owes the black community. If he is elected, he is completely indebted to the black community. And we must leverage that debt. We must leverage the support that we gave him to demand that he be held accountable. He put forth his Lift Every Voice agenda for the black community, and we need to press him to ensure that he fulfills every single one of those promises that he put forth during the campaign. That's what we need to do. That's what our civil rights organizations need to be doing as well. We can't be happy with photo ops. We can't be happy with just meeting and greeting this man and being in pictures with him and talking with him. We need to hold him accountable for all of those promises that he made during the campaign. And we need to even push him on issues that he did not support during the campaign. We need to push him on the issue of reparations, because if it wasn't for black people, there's no way in hell that this man would have been elected, if he gets elected. There's no way. I mean, in a state like Georgia, it was the black vote that's making a difference in Georgia, that's making Georgia even competitive. In a place like Michigan, it was all the brothers and sisters who turned out in cities like Detroit, in that particular county, Wayne County, had a key impact on the election in Michigan. So it's because of that support. That support made a difference in this election, and we need to leverage that support and demand that Joe Biden fulfill every single one of those promises that he put forth in his Lift Every Voice agenda. And we also need to push him on the issue of reparations. There's no excuse after once he's elected, there's no excuse at that point. And, it's a shame that they spend so much time trying to cater to these groups that don't even support them like that, when they really need to be, fulfilling the promises that they have made to the black community. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, well, before I go on to this next group of people, I have to talk about the difference in support between black men and black women and what that means. First of all, even though like more than double the percentage of black men supported Donald Trump compared to the percentage of black women that supported Donald Trump, the fact of the matter is those stats are still very low. Black men can't be blamed if Donald Trump wins this election. And they can't be, attacked for that very small percentage of black men who supported Donald Trump. Because the fact of the matter is these other groups of people overwhelmingly supported Donald Trump, and they are the ones that deserve blame if Donald Trump is actually elected. They are the ones that need to be condemned and challenged for their support of a man that's hostile to civil rights, hostile to black people, hostile to immigrants and all that kind of stuff. But it is a significant development that you have a substantially more percentage of black men that support Donald Trump over black women. And the question is, like, why is that? Why do you have more black men actually supporting Donald Trump over the numbers of black women that supported Donald Trump? And I think part of it is that, black women are more, it seems like black women are more in tune to issues that impact women as opposed to white women being attuned to issues that impact women. So I think that that's one issue, part of the reason why you have an overwhelming support for Joe Biden among black women. Another thing is like, I won't speculate on why you have a higher percentage of black men that support Donald Trump, but I'm really interested in what you think. Like, why do you think more black men support Donald Trump than black women? So I won't speculate on that, but I just want to be perfectly clear. I'm not going to blame the black man for how this election turns out. I'm not going to, disparage black men. I'm a black man and all that kind of stuff. And the overwhelming majority, over 80% of black men supported Joe Biden. So to harp on that small minority of black men that supported Donald Trump is misplaced. I just think that that's misplaced attention. The other thing that I want to talk about is the Latinos. Like, for Latino men, more of them supported Donald Trump than not. Slightly more, it's just a slight difference. But it's virtually half, a little bit more than half of Latino men support Donald Trump over Biden. And then you have a significant percentage of Latino women that supported Donald Trump over, over Joe Biden. But it's like 34% compared to 64%. So the thing I want to talk about is this. Like, I think that those numbers speak to the diversity in the Latino community. Because you have a lot of Cuban immigrants that come to this country under different circumstances. They're an immigrant group that is welcomed by the United States, embraced by the United States in order to destabilize socialist Cuba. So their perspective is different. Then a lot of those immigrants from places like Cuba, they are hostile, as pointed out in this documentary on Vice TV. And I may post that in the description box so that you all can check it out. They are more hostile to the Democratic Party because they see some of their policy positions being in alignment with socialist Cuba and all that kind of stuff for whatever reason. So they are hostile to that because a lot of them fled Cuba. You know, they have animosity towards socialist policies and all that kind of stuff. So they tend to lean far right, and that's why they support the Republican Party. So you have a lot of those immigrants that lean to the right. And then you have other Latino communities that are more supportive of the Democratic Party over the Republican Party. And that's why you see this difference. But I just think that it's odd that you have so many Latino people supporting Donald Trump when he made hostility towards immigrants one of his key campaigning points. He's the one that was chanting, build that wall, to lock out immigrants, to prevent immigrants from coming to this country. He's the one who started his very first campaign talking about how Mexican immigrants are criminals and drug dealers and rapists and all that kind of stuff. So it's odd to me that you have such a significant percentage of Latinos that support Donald Trump. And it's another example of people supporting someone that is contrary to their interests. Just like a lot of these poor white people that support Donald Trump. You know, they are so hostile towards black people. You know, they scapegoat black people and immigrants. And they don't even realize that Donald Trump is implementing policies that are detrimental to poor people, like cutting food assistance, like cutting housing assistance, like cutting health care, trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which has benefited many poor people. So, again, those are some of the issues, where you have these different groups of people supporting candidates that are contrary to their own political interests. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention. And before I have to go to work out, but before I do that, I just want to make one last point, and that's this. You had a lot of these personalities on here, these Tariq Nasheeds, these Boyce Watkins, these Yvette Carnells, and all of these people, the Umar Johnsons and all these other fake pro-black people on here trying to discourage African Americans from voting during the for president. You had some people just downplaying voting, period, and then you had other people saying we should only vote down ticket. And the mere fact that you have a substantial percentage of black people that still came out to vote, by overwhelming numbers, voting for Democrats, voting for president, despite, all this talk from these talking heads here on YouTube, I think that just shows you how completely irrelevant those people are. And it shows you how little impact that a lot of these people have in the black community, because the black community understands their interests. They understood the importance of voting, and that's why you have high black voter turnout in this election. You have a higher turnout than you've had in a long time during this election in the black community, in places like Michigan and Georgia and stuff like that. And that vote has proven to be decisive. It has proven to be critical, and it has proven all these fake pro-blacks on here to be completely irrelevant and marginal, despite the numbers of people that are subscribed to them. You got this clown Tariq Nasheed that had the nerve to talk about how he's not voting. And he talked about how he's going to get together a commission of people to study whether or not the vote counts or matters. I mean, that is one of the most ridiculous things I've heard in a long time. There's so many examples of how our votes matter, how they actually make a difference. And we are seeing that play out right now in this very tight election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So again, this just proves how irrelevant those people are in the big scheme of things. And I'm just glad that so many people did not listen to those fools telling black people not to vote. this is a reminder of just how important your vote is and how much of a difference it can make in these elections. So yeah, I had to make that point, and I hope that you all, continue to follow, this story. I encourage you all to rate this video, to provide your commentary to this video, and to tell me what you all think about these numbers. Why do you think a significantly more black men have decided to vote for Donald Trump than the numbers of black women that did so? And another thing that I want to point out is just like how marginal these black Republican talking heads are. These token coons that are given these platforms to spew their nonsense. You got your Candace Owens. You got that ridiculous sheriff from Wisconsin. You got your Anthony Brian Logans and all these other coons on here talking all this pro-Trump stuff, and that officer, I can't remember the YouTuber's name, but you got all these coon personalities on here, making it seem as if they're making some kind of difference, like there's actually going to be some Blexit, black people leaving the so-called Democratic plantation. Those people have been proven to be irrelevant as well. Like, when you look at those numbers, overwhelming majority of black people supporting the Democratic Party and only a tiny, insignificant minority of black people supporting Trump. It just proves that those people have no influence among black people. The only influence that they have is among these white people that love hearing Negroes spout white supremacist talking points. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Have a great day, and please rate, comment, subscribe, like this video, share this video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And before I go, I noticed that this little chump did a response video, a reply video to me. I'm not going to even comment on that. It's unworthy of a comment. You didn't rebut a single point that I made in my video with actual facts. Peace.